hello. Welcome to Quackalope.
Is that all you're going to contribute to this video?
No.
I mean, you are hanging out. Should I move this over closer to you?
Probably.
There
I
you
also
are.
have my
So
coffee.
she was just like hanging out with us while we do this unboxing?
yes.
We're unboxing.
I just want to be on camera and watch it.
And this is sort of an unboxing. It's more like a first look,
Whoa.
first impressions.
Whoa, you went real fast.
Now or Never by Red Raven Games. Ryan Lockett, the follow-up to...
Raven? I'm
Above
a
and
raven. I'm a raven.
You're not in this video.
Above and Below,
Above
right,
and
is one of
Below,
them.
yeah.
The Islebound is another one.
Near and Far
Near
is
and
probably
Far,
the one. This is going to be
yes.
the trilogy point.
Wait, we haven't unboxed it yet, Shiro.
I'm going to
no.
read the flavor text.
Well, go for it.
Far to the south of the last ruin lies a cliffside village called the Monument. For generations, it protected an ancient shrine until the day a crystal meteorite descended. The meteor's denizens slowly crept out into the world. Bizarre monstrosities from nightmare, attacking all in their path. As they spread across the land, there was no intelligent malice nor grand invasion strategy. The creatures acted like a fungus, expanding into new territory sporadically. After many fruitless attempts to expel the monsters, the people of the monument fled as their village crumbled, exiled to distant lands, resigned to a nomadic existence. 20 years later, there are rumors that bizarre monsters are growing weak. They're slower, some undergoing a gradual petrification until they crumble to dust. Is it something in the air? Are they dying of old age? Do they suffer from a strange disease? No one is certain. But as the news spreads, various factions set their eyes on the vacant, ruined village of the Monument. The original villagers, now refugees, are desperate to return and rebuild. But they must do it quickly before someone else claims their home. This is their chance. It is now or never.
Pum, pum, pum.
That was where you guys should have joined in.
I'm so confused.
So that was my contribution to the video.
Like that? Is that the song we're doing?
So,
Yeah.
Jan has actually gone over a
Yes,
bit
I have.
of what this game is.
Yep.
Jan, as you can see, this is the classic school lunch version of Red Raven Games. It's actually, I believe, a Kickstarter exclusive this time. Everything does come in sandwich bags.
First of all, straight to retail edition.
Ooh.
Oh yes, that is Shiro's role in this video. But Shiro, wait until we open the baggies.
Can you give us
first.
an overview of what's happening on this game?
I have a piece.
And how it adds into those other two core systems.
I'll do my
Because
very best. I'm so distracted right now. So many things.
Near and Far was
Yes.
a tableau building, sort of exploration-esque game where you're doing your very best to manage some worker placement, resource generation, combined with going out on adventures for this adventure book that flips open, telling stories, doing some choose-your-own-adventure style things, and laying down a bit of territory control when it comes to your caravans, your pathways, your tents, your campsites, all that type of stuff. Above and Below, which I believe was actually the earlier one, so I
Yes.
don't know why I didn't start with that. Above and Below, it's because I ended up getting Above and Below with the Crystal Caverns, which came after the expansion. Above and Below was pretty much a tableau hierarchy, right? You're building up a infrastructure of buildings that generate other buildings, going deeper and deeper into the cavern, pressing your luck a little bit. It's still that worker placement. It still has that incredible artwork, and it had a bit of story, but Near and Far really started bringing in the narrative quite a bit more. And then it seems like now we've zoomed out even farther, and this is straight up adventure-esque.
Okay, well, here's the thing. First of all, Now or Never is going to do something very different to the previous games, where the story is not necessarily the main mode, depending on how you're playing. There's two modes in this one. You're going to have standard, and you're also going to have your story mode. So I'm just going to explain the overall premise of the game, and then we can go into the differences between both of those. So this is going to be a city building game. You're going to have 20 tiles. Yep. You're going to have 20 tiles that start right next to your township board, and throughout the game you'll be using special actions or specialists that are going to add those tiles onto your city board. What you're trying to do throughout the entirety of the game is gain, I believe it's victory points at the end of the day. I don't remember exactly what the term was, but you're using both a combination of your buildings and the people, the villagers that live in each one of those structures to gain you resources. Throughout the game, you're going to have multiple things that you're going to be doing, but basically you'll choose between two things. You're either going to take a hero action, or you're going to take, and now this is where I fault on the things, or a specialist action. There's two very major things that you're constantly doing throughout the game. You're going to be traversing this board, either exploring, moving, or battling. And in addition to that, also growing out your own tableau and your personal character. Every person across the entirety of the game starts with one character, and that character is going to have special combat abilities that they're going to be able to employ in those battle situations. And they also have spaces for specialists. Imagine that your specialists are almost like workers that are contributing to your ongoing journey throughout the entirety of the game. And so every time that you activate one of those specialists, you're going to be able to do whatever action it has. It's going to be things like gain experience. Experience is gained in order to start evolving your character. You have different slots in each one, red slots and blue slots. These are usually offensive. These are usually defensive. You're going to have them also give you HP. So one of your characters might be able to recover you entirely. Other specialists, and this is the main way that you grow your township board, are going to allow you to build stuff. And there's particular mechanics and systems as how you build. It's a small little puzzle because all the buildings start kind of shuffled around together, and there's particular ways that you can take those buildings and add them into your township board. And then the coolest thing about this game is that those specialists, you start with, I think we may start with a starting specialist. However, throughout the game we can add more. Here's the thing. Everybody can use each other's specialists by paying certain amounts of money. So every special is going to have 2 types of currency on them. I wonder if we can find right here. So every special is going to have 2 circles on them, or 2 currency symbols. The top one is going to be the cost in order to activate that specialist. The lower one is going to be the taxes that you charge other players when they use your specialist. And when specialists are used, you'll always flip them face down. So knowing when and how to activate your specialist is going to be key as you move towards through the game, because you don't want your opponents to take advantage of those actions. And the name of the game is trying to do that, trying to stretch out your actions and your specialist as much as possible. Every turn, you'll take either your specialist action or your hero action, or you pass. When everybody passes, that's the end of the game. And one of the most interesting things about this is that the end of game victory condition for this is obviously going to be those points, but here's the crux. When you reach the end of the game, you're here in your, I always do that, here in your township board, you're going to have a track of things, and these are going to be your resources that you're accumulating throughout the game. When you get to end game, you actually dump everything you've generated thus far to 0, including your money, and the way that you make victory points at the end of the game is dependent on how much you can generate right then and there. Okay?
It's kind of interesting.
So
that's...
You have to build up your system.
Exactly. And you build up your system, as I said, by buildings that you're going to place here, and then villagers that you're going to place here. And the interesting little puzzle with that is that every building accounts for 1 type of villager. But there's also buildings that have extra beds on them, so you can add another type of villager. And so the comboing mechanics here are going to be the following. You can create rows filled with buildings in order to get that type of achievement, and that type of victory point. And then for every single type of resources that you generate throughout the game, if you have a villager here that corresponds to each of those, then you'll get that victory point. And this is also another little puzzle. So this game is like puzzle, puzzle, puzzle. However, you're probably asking yourself, but wait a minute, Jan, what about all the story and narrative that all of Ryan Lockett's games are so popular for? It's 100% here. All of those mechanics that I've talked about are just facilitating a really interesting game experience, but the story element is going to be there. Each one of these books is going to correspond, or at least inside of that book is going to correspond to each one of the 4 asymmetrical characters that you venture out throughout the entirety of Now or Never. So as you're moving towards, you're going to have specific decisions that apply to your character. Specific. So in the Pacific Ocean, no, you're going to have those areas, and you're going to go through them one by one and make decisions off of that. There's even special components that get added into the story-based portion of this game that you do not have access to during the standard version of the game. However, in terms of the minutia and differences, I haven't gotten there yet, but I know that it's just, it plays through the same system, but obviously you're discovering something as you go. Finally, on this board, you're going to have a pawn that's going to represent your character exploring each of these lands. And when you go to certain locations, you're able to do specialty actions that correspond to each one of the different cities or landmarks that are across the city map. Across the map in its entirety. And then you also have these spaces which may be filled with monsters that you can fight, and those monsters are going to be one of the main ways that you gain villagers. And I feel I've been talking a lot. How's that for like an overview of this game. I went too much in detail. I'm so sorry. I'm kind of excited to actually try this out since I haven't tried
I think that was
any of
longer
the
than a
others.
minute.
Oh, it was supposed to be a minute?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank God.
But I do need you to find Zelk.
Zelk.
Or
that-
Zeke.
Zeke. This is who I wanted to be.
20 years ago, the crystal meteorite landed in the wastes of Azerim. Sending swarms of monsters across the desert to destroy your ancestral home, they left the monument unlivable, and its inhabitants became refugees waiting for the chance to return. You were born the next night, your parents hiding from the monsters in the cave just outside of the monument. At the moment of your birth, a soothsayer, also taking refuge in the cave, spoke this prophecy, or perhaps it was a curse. When the monsters weaken, you will weaken with them. When the monument stands again, you must travel to a place that came from far beyond it, or else be buried in the ground beneath it. Now the monsters are weakening, and a strange patch of stone has appeared on your left arm, a mark of your curse. As the monsters' numbers dwindle, you can feel your doom fast approaching. Many wanderers have arrived at the monument ready to rebuild the city. You do not believe you can stop them, so instead you will help them, gathering people from all across the land to return, rebuild, and share their knowledge. You dare not hope, but maybe, just maybe, one of these new villagers will know the secret to escaping your terrible fate.
Interesting, and that is going to be for every single character that is in this game. Again, those are going to be 4 characters, and there
I
are
need you
a
to find
bunch.
the board for
No. Let them discover the game when it comes out, Jesse.
20 years ago,
Oh
the
my
crystal
gosh.
meteorite landed in the wastes of Azerim, sending swarms of monsters across the desert to destroy your home. They left the monument unlivable, and you and its inhabitants became refugees, waiting for the chance to return. Should I actually read the part that's not just a repeat of the other parts?
No.
Because the beginning, which I think is very charming, starts with the same soothsayer, and then
Oh, cool.
it transitions to, now the monsters are weakening, and as their numbers dwindle, the monument is free for citizens to come home.
And that's where it starts changing.
Yeah.
Super cool. And that is going to be the main gist of this game. There's city building, there's
Chapter
tableau buildings,
1,
there's
Chapter
worker placement,
2,
there's narrative.
Chapter 3.
There's a lot here.
Chapter 4. Chapter 5. Chapter
Yes. Chapter 6. Oh, have you ever played
I'm just
Machikoro
excited.
by any chance?
No, I haven't.
So in this mechanically, in terms of battling, the way that this game is going to work, you have to do your very best to build out the best possible assortment of actions.
Okay.
And you're going to throw a die, and the die is going to determine which of those actions you
That's
actually
kind
do.
of fun.
Oh, you like dice.
So that is, I'm not sure, like, let me know in the comments if you have questions. There's probably a ton of questions. I'm assuming we're going to play this, so that's why I didn't want to go in detail.
Oh yeah, we're
every
absolutely
part.
good. I just wanted to open it up. Can you talk through some of the components?
Yes,
Like,
100%.
I see the items and stuff here. Are these going to be the things that you're talking about?
Yes.
The die that we're adding.
Yep.
So these will be slotting into our board, and like if we roll a 1, we're going to be triggering the gravity rod, which is going to do a certain
Exactly.
amount of damage, cost a certain amount, and roll and add the result to the damage itself.
Well, the way that
Tracking
one's
dog.
going to work, if you, let's say that, as Jesse said, you roll a 1 on your d4, you're going to do 5 damage. However, then
No,
you're going
Jen,
what?
ignore the gravity rod. Talk about the tracking dog.
Okay, so Gravity Dog, first of all, is a passive item. It's going to go here in your defensive column, or it's really red and blue. They're not
Yep.
necessarily offensive or defensive. So Tracking Dog, this is going to add 1 to your defense for the rest of the game, and gain 1 coin when you defeat an enemy.
Yeah. So
That's
just a little
passive buff.
stat buff.
So you don't have to roll a 6?
Exactly. That is going to be the cost of gaining the Tracking Dog. And
So-
right here on this board is where you're going to have access to those things. You have
Yeah.
3 slots for that and 3 for red.
So I notice here on the main board, there's all these separated little zones and
Yep.
regions. What's going to be? You said monsters might
Yes.
be popping out into those spaces. Do we
Circles.
have some examples of those?
Right here. So
Okay.
these are going to go here, and from what I understand, in setup, there's going to be different levels of monsters in which you stack on top of each other. So when those monsters start popping up, if you end your movement on that location, you have to decide if you want to engage the monster. You don't have to.
2 of them.
If you decide to engage the monster, you will have to battle it, and the way that that's done is through multiple rounds. So you'll throw the dice, and the dice will deal damage to the monster. Monster alive, then you must continue fighting.
Yeah.
If monster's not alive, then you win the battle and you gain the benefit that's down here. This one in particular that you showed is really powerful. It gives you 3 villagers immediately, and 1 experience.
And then these, of course, are going to be the buildings that you're
Those are
adding
gonna
to
be the
your
buildings.
tableau that are
Yep.
generating resources and
And
giving you
everybody
more
has
places,
the same ones.
and giving you more places to go ahead and set up your population base.
Yep, exactly.
I don't see our personal tokens. These are going to be more creatures, or are these going to be...
So remember, there's 2 sets. There's the standard set, and then there's the story set, which I think is this one. I think this is the story set. So
Maybe.
I'll look at those.
Try not to mix them up too much. I don't...
Oh, it says it
labeled.
right there. Yep, right there. Story set. Okay. So the other element, I think our characters are going to be within here. So these are our villagers. So you'll notice that if I grab a handful...
It's very similar to the other ones. You can see that they're going to
This
have...
looks like our characters.
Well, no, these are going to be the players that you can build into your little
Yep.
city.
Right,
Your
those are the
villagers.
villagers, but I'm saying this looks like one of the characters.
You're going to have that classic artwork. You're going to have the various different
Yes.
themes and tribes that are coming on here, and they'll have like resource generation icons, building icons, just things that tie to other units. We don't have any minis or anything with it for the moment.
Well, I don't think
This reminds
any
me
of
of
the...
the Mermaid Boys. You know the new movie that came out?
Yes, I want to see that Luca,
Pixar?
right?
Yeah, this reminds me of Luca.
I want to see that. So you'll notice that each one of these villagers has a symbol underneath it. That is the symbol that they will generate every time you go into production. And so generally the game is going to consist of, I believe it was 6 rounds, I think. And the setup is very simple. Every round is considered a season. In your season, every player will take an action.
Yep.
Either, as I said, specialist or hero. Once everybody passes, you'll move on to your production phase. And that is where all of this comes into play. So as the game continues, you're slowly building up that engine in order to do something crazy by the end of the game and do something combo-tastic. Of course, there's a bunch of other ways of gaining victory points here. You're going to have specialty quests that you're going to be able to complete. You're going to be able to go to certain locations. You're even going to be able to activate your own tableau in different ways because your specialists don't apply to that production phase necessarily. So there might even be some specialists out there that generate victory points. So it's all about finding your way through this particular puzzle and that little bit of exploration. And speaking of, let's assume this is a pond. So Jesse, to your question, we're going to have monsters and we're also going to have what are called, I don't see them, maybe these are it? Search tokens. Search tokens are going to be across the board, and on your turn, as I said, you're going to be able to move your character and then decide if you want to search a place, if you want to visit a place, or if you want to battle a place. And that is what each one of those squares represent.
This?
No, those are going to be your buildings.
Those are still built. Yep, those are buildings. Our opportunity tokens are somewhere around here. So there is a lot of that exploration. No, not this either. These are going to be your specialists. Yeah. So, here they are. So these are going to be our exploration tokens. So those are shown like that. Once you move your character there and you're able to do the action, you'll have to pay a certain amount and then you get whatever resources there and then you bank that. And that's another way of gaining victory points. So yes, it's a hybrid game. It has a lot of things going on, but it seems fairly accessible. There's a lot of really interesting little puzzling mechanics tied into each one of the different elements. I'm particularly the most interested or excited about the actual game. I'm sure the story is going to be awesome, but as people know, I'm more about mechanics than anything else.
Chapter 4. The earthquakes from
Hey,
the
you
rifts have
cannot
unblocked
say-
forgotten passageways.
It's a narrative game, man. You're going to ruin it for them. Isn't that like the favorite thing?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, by a lot. So, first, what do you guys think so far of what you've seen? Jesse, you particularly have more experience with the Red Raven game series. How does this look so far to you?
Oh, it looks cool. I mean, it has the theme, it has the artwork. I have not loved every game that has came out from Red Raven Games. There's been a few of the smaller box ones that were hit or miss for me. They really doubled down onto like some specific mechanic systems. I have always really liked the Near and Far series, the Above and Below series, the Sleeping Gods that just came out. That
Have
was
you played that?
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's
is that by them
amazing.
too?
amazing.
Yes, it's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. We actually need to go through and play that as well. This is, for me, really compelling. One of the things they've always done really well in their big box games is the puzzle between divergent mechanics feeling like they're coming together in some sort of
Cohesively.
cohesive, not only narrative story and visually stunning story, but actually like interesting puzzle. That doesn't always click for people.
Okay.
Some people on Near and Far don't want to do the adventuring part because it can be a better strategy to just set up caravans and connect the dots. Some people on Above and Below drive for resource and just find that engine and it works. I've always found their games have room to be broken if that's all you want to do with it. If you just want to treat it as a Euro, you could treat it as a Euro and destroy it. Maybe. It feels that way. If other players are treating it like an adventure or a journey or a story. However, if everyone's coming to the table with the same concept, that it's both a combination of a strategic puzzle and a cool game and a cool adventure, I've always found they set a really interesting tone that no other game that I've seen in this space does. That hybrid. This one seems to be doing the same thing. I'm really compelled by the balance between building my own settlement, establishing that own kind of tableau production chain, versus questing out and journeying, fighting big creatures, going on adventures. Like, how much of the city do I need to build if I've spent most of the game going on quests? How much of the story is going to integrate into this whole thing? And the idea of every different player having their own chapter and sequence in here, and not only that, what I was flipping through and looking at, the consequences and narrative storytelling elements, whereas in Near and Far, they were tied directly to more of an ambient, anyone could be playing this character.
Sure, yep.
And it sometimes felt like it was taking you out of the story in an effort to give space for everyone. This doesn't do that. This is saying this person, Hala, or Halia, has her own story. You just get to be a vessel for that to be told.
Interesting.
I find that narrows the choose-your-own-adventure pathways in a way that often, for me, results in a more compelling journey. I think, and I'm hoping, based off of what I saw in Sleeping Gods and how Red Raven has been expanding their big box stuff, that this might be the strongest in the series when it comes to this progression.
Bold words?
I don't know when it comes to the Eurofied nature of it. I don't know when it comes to the tableau building. I don't know when it comes to the actual balance between exploration and the production that you're doing. I've seen that hit and miss for a lot of fans, and I wouldn't tell anyone that it would be a knock it out of the park.
But they're doing a lot of the things that you mentioned.
This is what I think is really, really compelling. And I'm also honestly curious to see how it kind of expands upon that narrative route that we already have. We have flavors of the world, and we kind of understand this universe that Ryan Lockett has been creating. This might be more in depth than we've ever gone. And I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see where his mind has gone as he's tried to explain like what this universe is all about.
I think it's almost like different dimensions to a certain point, right? Because Sleeping Gods doesn't necessarily take place in Near and Far or... Oh, okay. Spoilers. Shira, what do you have any opinions? Are you more excited about the standard edition of the game?
You didn't know anything about this one,
I didn't
except
know-
that you were allowed to eat popcorn while we filmed the video.
Yes.
Yeah, but not touch any game components.
That is true.
Yes.
Tell
You
you
can
not
touch
to
the
touch
baggies. Baggies are cool.
No, I'd prefer
Okay, no baggies either.
It's very colorful. It looks
Yes.
very pretty. Art is a huge thing for me. So, and monsters and abilities. I like tile placement. I like tableau building. I think I'm actually excited about this. I don't know which way I'll swing. If I'll like the standard way or if I'll like the story-based more. We're in the middle of a campaign, so I'm kind of getting my story through there. I might want to play the standard way.
Maybe. We'll probably at least give it a swing the standard way. I want to see that story so bad, though.
Well, with
Either
that
way,
said...
let us know down below. What do you want to see? What should be the first stuff we bring out in this? Is it a impressions, review? I mean, this was like a first look. We're excited to be diving into this game. Super excited to have a prototype in front of us so that we can let you know exactly what you're getting in the box. And you can decide if you want to go ahead and order or pre-order or, wait for this to hit all the retail shelves in... I don't know when it is. I know pre-order is coming up.
I believe it was Q4 2021.
Okay.
I think. I might be wrong. It might be Q3. Maybe.
Right now, the shipping crisis is happening. So
It is happening.
could be
all the
any
time.
time. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. It's now or never. Hit that subscribe button.
Eat
We'll see you later.
popcorn.